I had several opportunities years ago to put into practice my passion for running. And when you hear the word practice, you might think about sports. I certainly do. And I got a chance to run in an ultra marathon called the Los Angeles Crest 100. It was 100 miles long, and it went from Wrightwood over the San Gabriel Mountains, and we finished in Pasadena. And every time I tell someone that, they always look at me like I'm crazy, and they wonder, why did you do that? And then how did you do that? And the simple truth is that I was able to finish the race by putting into practice running. I ran a lot, 6 days a week, early in the morning, and I practiced running. I practiced running in the extreme heat, which was horrible. I practiced running with a flashlight at nighttime on my forehead, which was pretty fun. I practiced running hungry. I practiced running while eating food. And even when I got injured, I practiced while running in a pool. And all that practice led to a 24-hour finish and a 14th place in the race. And I played college sports, and finishing that race was the greatest experience of my athletic life. And Jesus wants all of us to experience life and life in the full in his kingdom. But if we don't put into practice what he taught, we will never experience all that he has for us. He wants us to build the life that he has for us with the same focus and passion and intensity that I did for that race. I want to just take a moment to look at the golden rule. It's found in Matthew 7, verse 12, and as an example for that. It's the pinnacle of Jesus' teachings. And so in chapter 7, verse 12, Jesus says this, "So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets." This was an incredible statement. In fact, no one had ever said anything like this before. Other Jewish rabbis had said similar things, but they always had put it in the negative. They had said things like, don't treat others the way you wouldn't want to be treated. But Jesus puts it in a positive. He says, do to others what you would want done to you. You see, Jesus, to him, love wasn't just about the avoidance of evil, it was about the doing of good. It's about building a life of doing good to others, even if they don't treat you well in return. And Jesus did this his entire life. He went out and he healed people who were sick. He gave people forgiveness who were filled with guilt and shame. He went out and he hung out with those who were on the margins of society, those who were considered outcasts. He had meals with them. And you and I now get the opportunity to put this into practice every single day. We get the chance to walk by somebody in an aisle at a grocery store, and we can genuinely smile at them and say, hey, how are you doing? And encourage them. We can send a card to a friend who lost their job and share with them a Bible verse that meant something to us when we were going through a trial. I have a friend of mine who lives in Chino and works at a hospital. And during the pandemic, because relatives couldn't go visit those who were sick, he went and spent time with patients with COVID. He prayed with them. He prayed with people that would later die, actually. In fact, he jumped on Zoom calls with relatives of theirs who couldn't visit their loved ones, and he would reassure them that they were doing just fine. Now, my friend wasn't a doctor. He wasn't a nurse. He didn't have a medical degree. My friend was part of the facilities department. It wasn't in his job description to do what he did, but it was his job. How come? Because my friend is a follower of Jesus. And as a follower of Jesus, he knew that he needed to put into practice what Jesus had taught. Imagine the people that wouldn't have been encouraged if he had never gone and visited them. Imagine the people who received prayer and hope that wouldn't have got that if he had just heard these words and thought, whatever, and never put them into practice. Remember, it was Gandhi who was a Hindu leader who had these chilling words. He said, I like your Christ, but I do not like your Christians. They are so unlike your Christ. Now, those are chilling words, and we don't want that to happen. So how do we become a person of depth? By putting into practice the teachings of Jesus.